Russia continues to suffer heavy losses in Pokrovsk city in Ukraine's eastern Donetsk region that has been one of the main focus of fighting in recent months. Hundreds of thousands of Russian soldiers have been killed in this part of the front where Ukrainian troops have made gains. Satellite pictures circulated in social media show that Ukrainian forces substantially fortified in the surrounding areas of Pokrovsk city, with the defense network being at least twice as dense as the one between Avdiivka and Pokrovsk, an area which took Russians more than 16 months to cover. On top of that, the Russian advance in the area has come to a halt for 2 months, due to shortages in Russian manpower and the ongoing fighting in Russia's border Kursk area. Ukrainian forces have even regained territory in Pokrovsk direction as Russian delay and shortcomings have further enabled Ukrainian forces in fortifying the area. General Staff of Ukrainian Armed Forces reported on Saturday that 364 Russian soldiers were destroyed in the direction of Pokrovsk in the past 24 hours. Russian troops also lost a tank, 8 military equipment, 7 motorcycles, 2 armored vehicles for infantry, radio-electronic warfare systems, self-propelled artillery installations, mortar gun and 2 control systems. The General Staff revealed that as of March 29, Russia has lost over 910,000 soldiers since the start of full-fledged invasion of Ukraine in February 2022.
Russian dictator Vladimir Putin's puppet Ramzan Kadyrov has started a conflict with the Kremlin over negotiations with other countries over the security of his assets and family, important stories reported. As the publication has found out, Kadyrov has begun negotiations with the authorities of the Middle East countries regarding the future of his assets and the safety of his family members, without the Kremlin's consent. The publication reported this with reference to a former and current FSB officer who specializes in the North Caucasus. This information was partially confirmed by a North Caucasus journalist and human rights activist. According to the publication, against the backdrop of his deteriorating health, Ramzan Kadyrov tried to negotiate with the leaders of Muslim countries in secret from the Kremlin. But Russian intelligence services found out about this and reported it to Vladimir Putin. At the same time as relations with Moscow worsened on Friday, Ramzan Kadyrov's daughter Aishat left her post as Deputy Prime Minister of Chechnya. The split also affected Kadyrov's ally, State Duma Deputy Adam Yelimkhanov. He was really made to understand the limits of his capabilities, said Chechen movement representative Niso Ansar Dishny. The publication also found out that Kadyrov has been seriously ill for a long time. As Novaya Gazeta Europe journalists reported in their investigation, he has serious problems with his kidneys and pancreas. Journalists believe that his illness is progressing. Although Kadyrov is trying to hide his worsening condition with increased media activity, in recent months he has increasingly disappeared from the public eye for long periods of time. He understands well how power is structured in his region and what can await his family members if he leaves. He also knows the value of promises and security guarantees from the federal center. Uncertainty about the future of his relatives forced him to seek guarantees for them in Middle Eastern Muslim countries with whose leaders Kadyrov has long-standing friendly relations, the publication says. The reason for such steps could be the deterioration of Kadyrov's health. As reported by Novaya Gazeta Europe, he has serious problems with his kidneys and pancreas. It has become more difficult for him to speak in public, which may indicate the progression of the disease. Kadyrov has appeared in public less frequently in recent months. In January and February, he was out of the spotlight for a long time, later explaining that he was on vacation. "There is no illness that has not been attributed to me," he said after his return. On January the 30th, it was reported that Kadyrov's cousin Shakrudi Edilgiriev purchased several luxury properties in Dubai for the head of Chechnya. Ukrainian F-16 fighters not only shoot down Russian drones, jam Russian radars with electronic warfare pods, and drop precision bombs. As Forbes analyst David Axe writes, they also perform tasks that are not entirely typical for them, conducting reconnaissance to accurately detect Russian air defense systems using their self-defense systems. As Axe notes, among the thousands of F-16s around the world, there are only a few that are specially equipped for reconnaissance with under-fuselage cameras or radar installations. At the same time, Ukraine does not have fighters with such technology. Instead, Ukrainian F-16s have the Pylon Integrated Dispensing System and the Pylon Integrated Systems, PIDS and ESIPs. The latter contains passive defenses, including the AN/ALQ-162 jammer to destroy radars on the ground, and the AN/AAR-60 missile warning system to launch passive defenses. The warning system is connected to an electronic warfare control system from Danish company Terma, which itself is connected to a display in the pilot's cockpit that shows where enemy radars are in relation to its aircraft. If Ukrainian F-16 pilots are flying electronic reconnaissance missions, they are likely relying heavily on the Terma control system, Axe writes. As the analyst explains, Ukrainian F-16s conduct reconnaissance flights, determine the location of Russian radars based on their emissions, and then land so that intelligence analysts can take fresh data into account when planning strikes. When all of this is added up, we plan flights for further actions to defeat the enemy, one of the pilots said. Military expert, former spokesman for the General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, Vladislav Zeleznev, noted that most of the F-16 fighters that Ukraine receives from its partners operate as air defense, but they are not as effective in combating Russian aviation. When we talk about their use on the battlefield, for example, to fight Russian aviation, there is a problem here. No matter what anyone says, but the F-16 is not as effective in terms of tactical and technical characteristics as its Russian counterparts, such as the Su-57 or other modifications. We must admit this, but for us, the F-16 is auxiliary for performing tasks in the air defense system, Zeleznev said. He also added that F-16s in Ukraine have repeatedly demonstrated their effectiveness against Russian cruise missiles and drones. However, the expert noted that to cover the entire sky, Ukraine needs a significantly larger number of aircraft.